Bismillah, alhamdulillah. All praise be to the omnipotent God who allowed us or gave us this opportunity to come together in this occasion. And thanks to each and every one of the youth who participated in the planning and making this whole thing happen. I'm really grateful to each and every one of you. The Prophet said, he who does not thank the human being does not thank the Creator. Because if one does not understand that concept of saying thanks to one individual, that person would never understand thanking the Creator who created him. So in that spirit, I thank each and every one of you. In order to understand where we are and where we're headed, first we have to take a glance at where we have been. And where we have been, of course, takes us to the history of Somalia and Somalis in their years of formation in the diaspora. And if that story were to be written, then it would have been starting with the paradoxical phrase, the Dickensian phrase that says it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. When you look at it from our country perspective, in the breakdown of the Somali state, what followed, it was a moment of celebration on one hand, that people thought that this is the best thing that had happened to the country. What followed was even worse. And in the diaspora, the same story, only in a reverse fashion. We had our students and young growing to become participants in community activities, graduating from schools and going to colleges, becoming productive citizens, and reconciling their identities as Somalis, as Americans, as Canadians, as Muslims, and not having any issue reconciling that. All of those things were the good things that were happening on one hand. On the other hand, there were those who were falling, who have fell through the cracks, who joined gangs, who practiced or were lured towards juvenile delinquency. They are in prisons in Minneapolis, in Columbus, Ohio area, and all of these other parts where the diaspora is located. Unfortunately, these few, in comparison to the good that's happening overall, the large number that are graduating from the universities and really making a difference in their communities, whether it is as Somalis or the community at large, in wherever they are. Those individuals are being overshadowed by the few that are causing some kind of concern out there. And of course, we know, everyone knows, anyone who just clicked the any TV station on, or flipped through the pages of any newspaper or any internet website, knows that there are 20 young Somalis that are missing in Minneapolis. And there are a lot of stories that are out there, but the facts are very, very, very small. What we know is 2 individuals are indicted, 3 other individuals have died. The investigation is still on. We don't know the details of all of that. Now, the question is, what are we here for? That's the question everyone wants to know. Well, very simple. We just wanted to have an opportunity, we in the collective sense, because I was the one given this task to speak about that, in the collective sense, to show the world that there is another side of Somali youth, that it's not only limited to the stories that we find once you Google Somali youth, and I did this morning. It was the stories in the hundreds, and most of them, if not all, are negative. So we're in the hope that once this conference is done, for a few items that I will go over, that we would leave with these few items. That the participants will get inspired or motivated to become introspective and critical thinkers. This is very critical. If we want to have leadership in the youth, We have to instill that value in them to become people who ask themselves the questions of what am I doing and why am I doing what I'm doing? And is it the right thing or the wrong thing? And become critical thinkers in every aspect, not just for the argumentative sake, but to distinguish right from wrong. To become God-conscious individuals who practice self-policing. You know, there's a concept in Islam called taqwa. And taqwa, oftentimes people make the mistake of explaining it as God-fearing, as though that's the best thing. God-fearing is just one aspect of taqwa, but it does not cover, because fear is oftentimes associated with some negative thing. We fear the darkness, we fear the bully in the playground, and all of those others. So, but this one is much bigger idea. When a person becomes inspired and feels like he or she is doing the right thing, because it pleases the Creator who created him, and it's the right thing. That's the self-policing concept. Whether the police is present or not, the person will always try to do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. To develop a balanced esteem, whether in their identity or image or potentiality. Because we have, of course, both spectrums. Those who don't believe that they can make any difference, and those who are just floating up there in the air that are out of touch with the reality of the community and themselves. So we don't want to be that. We want to somewhere in the middle. The other thing is, and I don't do well in this speeding this thing. We're very short in time, and that's why I'm a slow speaker. So you have to forgive me if I'm just hesitant, because this is not, time is very essential, so I have to go through by looking at my notes. To take advantage of the experience and the wisdom of the elders, and we have enough wisdom in this room to engage and talk to them and take something away from what they have discovered in their lives and so forth. To become solution-oriented and problem solvers. This is very critical. This is going to be a new paradigm, because for the last 2 decades, Somalis, even the learned ones, unfortunately, those who had the capacity, spent 2 decades defining a problem. Not providing solutions, defining a problem. So we have to get away from that paradigm of the definition and move to the next step, hopefully. To form networks for collaborations and pool resources and build institutions that will help not only Somalis, but the communities that we are part of and the world, because now we're becoming a global community, whether we're in Somalia or in here or elsewhere. And then to become ambassadors of goodwill and agents of positive change, not just change, because oftentimes you hear change, agents of change. Change to what? If you have something good, you don't have to change the good thing. So you have to be agents of a positive change. To give back to their communities and mentor the less fortunate among them. And to become tireless advocates for peace and justice. And this is a critical thing. Altruism is something I cannot emphasize enough. Our youth have to be part of this thing. They have to work with a lot of these organizations that are already solidly established, whether they're promoting peace and justice or whether they're advocates or of other good causes, whether it is serving the homeless and all other such things. And then to become advocates for the revival and the reconstitution of the Somali state, and to stand up to lead and shape their destiny and that of their countries, wherever you are. Somalia is just one of those countries. And this one that you're part of it, you also have to be active participant in changing that paradigm. Assalamu alaikum.